The final level is a return to the beginning. This is the last dragon. A cycle is complete. And now, there is a new emptiness to be filled. A new journey, which you must make alone.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater... Good.
Nice. Oh, that's great. I am here to talk to you about The Last Dragon. I'm very excited for many, many reasons. One of those is that this is episode 335, and I am Sean Allred. I don't know why I'm saying this weird, but I am. Wait, what?
Are you the last dragon?
I am not.
Oh. Well, then what good are you?
I don't know. Just tonight, I'm here to push buttons and take names, and I'm all out of push buttons and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum or something. There's a quote in there somewhere. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew. Often crafts his gang's football shoulder pads to look menacing. Jemison.
That was a long one.
Hey, man, what did it look like?
Jive turkey. All I can think of is like when the Shogun guy comes out and he's got those shoulder pads with the rubber spikes on. It's like somebody had to make those, right? It's like, is there the gang craft guy, who's like
so you're
busy?
You're telling me ninjas don't wear those on a normal basis?
I mean, they might wear them. I don't know, but like you have to make that. You can't buy that. It's not like there's like an evil bad guy ninja store in Harlem that he can just go to and buy that stuff. Like he had to make that.
There's a Gangs R Us, man.
Gangs R Us? Okay. Is that in Harlem, or do they need to go to like Queens or somewhere else?
No, it's in Harlem, but it's like a registry thing. I got a murder coming up soon, so you put out the registry and people get your stuff.
That's cool. You go with the instead of the scan gun, it's just a gun, right?
It's an actual gun. You just rob the place. It's great.
It's a poor business model, but it's great. Also,
actually,
with us, oh yeah.
I'm sorry. One more thing to correct you here. You can actually buy those on Diamond Dave's Ninja store. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
no.
You can go to his website, Diamond Dave Ninja.
Ninja store.
Okay. That's
awesome.
That's awfully close to an inappropriate word, is what I'm saying.
Is it?
It sounds like it.
I was not paying any attention, which scares me even more.
It's okay. I don't know. It's weird. That voice you just heard also is Sam. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm laughing because as soon as I saw this on TV or on the movie, I had to make this your middle name. Sam Mohawk Colonel Sanders Vector.
And Sean,
Yeah.
Sean, let me say hello to my little fish.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that thing later.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that thing later. And also joining us, making his... definitely not his podcasting debut, making his triumphant return to this show is Cornelius, is the Shogun of Cleveland County, Logan.
Show damn enough.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, this is great. I'm looking forward to this. We've had 2 weeks of kind of heavy, life-changing material, and tonight we are here to talk about The Last Dragon and just have a good time and just laugh and just whatever, because this
I don't know, Sean. This is very serious. This movie has some very serious themes and issues in it that I think need to be addressed.
Okay.
In this podcast.
Well, why don't you go ahead and bring up some of those things?
Well, You know,
Black neighborhood.
the idea of not being a master, and that some dumb guy is is not in any way, shape, or form any kind of generalization of the Chinese culture.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah. So 1985's The Last Dragon. This is our quartet. This is our finale of our month of Black History Month movies. When I approached Cornelius,
Cornelius.
when I approached, when I approached you about this 3.5 weeks ago, I said, hey, what do you want to do? Before I finished typing the text, we're doing Black History Month movies. You had already responded with The Last Dragon. It was actually rather impressive. You knew without thinking, right? The whole arrow bit. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to loop it all back in. Anyway, so I've never seen this before. I had never seen this before the other day.
Neither had I. And I'm surprised because this is right up an 80s kid alley, right? I mean,
to be honest, I thought we'd actually seen it before, like way back. And I
really
go back and because this is like one of my low key favorite movies. Like it's not in the top 10, but it's certainly like, oh shit, it's on. I gotta watch it. I just assumed I'd made you guys suffer through this before.
No, as far as I know.
No, we hadn't done this before. I do remember, we've talked about it a lot, and I do remember it was weird hearing the song The Last Dragon, but it not being in the intro to the podcast, because that's the only time I'd ever heard it before was for the intro.
Yep.
And so when it got through you are the last dragon, I was expecting static to come up and it transitioned to the next tune, but no, it kept going. It was very strange.
And going. Yeah.
Kind of a badass tune, by the way. I liked it.
No, it's very fun and very 80s, and I got no problem with it at all. For just for those who are listening and have no idea what this movie is, here's a quick little synopsis of The Last Dragon. In New York City, a young man searches for a master to obtain the final level of martial arts mastery known as the glow.
Yeah,
that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what this is, but it doesn't really feel like a movie where it's a kid searching for a thing. It just feels like there's so many other subplots happening that I'm not really ever sure what plot A is.
I could have saved him a whole lot of time and effort just sending him to the Motel 6 with a black light.
To find the glow.
Andrew's got a point.
The glow is, in fact, Super Saiyan 1. Actually, 2 when he actually gets it. It's a little bit of electricity.
Yeah, well, I did have a very much I know Sam's not seen it. I don't know about Andrew. I did have kind of a Dragon Ball kind of vibe with levels, using the word level, because that's kind of a theme in Dragon Ball, and the fact that he does glow and that the bad guy glows red, and there's some stuff there happening that's very kind of anime driven in style, but boy, this movie. Okay, so like I said, 1985's The Last Dragon. I'm actually excited. So, Corny, you said this is low-key one of your favorites. I could totally see why.
Yep.
Because...
Not as a bad thing. Not as a bad thing, but just I can see, like I said earlier, as an 80s kid, I could see watching this on a Saturday afternoon over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? Because you all wanted to be his little brother and have the attitude. And we all wanted to get the girl by being kind of awkward and it's just it's a perfect preteen movie, where it's just so stupid. It's great, it's just why did he go away with the old guy? Do we ever figure that out?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like, what was the initial reason he went to go get trained?
Oh, we never know.
Right, and then he has to come home and live in a house with his family, like nothing ever happened, but yet now he's he's wearing a little sunshine hat, around town.
Yeah.
It's just I'm so confused.
I just assumed, I like you, Sean. I'd never seen this before, and I just assumed that the opening scene, we're in Japan or we were in China, we're in some Asian country, and then come to find out, no, he's just some guy that lives out in the street.
Yeah, on a houseboat somewhere in New York. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This movie does kind of feel like there was 30 minutes of backstory that were filmed that we just didn't see.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not wrong. This is just a dude that he goes and sees on Tuesday nights, right? But the way that the film is portrayed, this has been his life for the last 20 years or 18 years or however old he is. Like this, like mom and dad sent him to learn the ways of the whatever because he needed to, because he was a different kid and this is what he was into, and so they sent him to go learn from the master. Right, but no, this is just the thing that he does on. You're not wrong. Like it feels like we're missing a lot of backstory.
Yeah,
I'll fill in your backstory. You just put me in the place of Bruce Leroy, and my brother in the place of his brother. It's an action movie. That is your backstory. So everything you know about me essentially fits. We are that different. I'm pretty sure my brother John has told my mom, something wrong with him, like at least a couple times,
Yeah, I don't know if I could see your mom managing an Italian shop though, like a pizzeria.
Wouldn't that food be good though?
I mean, it would be good, but I don't. I just, I don't know if I could see the. I could see your mom slapping dudes in the face with pizza dough. Like I could definitely see that part. I laughed at that part. So, Sam, let's go ahead and hit your 5-word review, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, sure. I just have one tonight, and that is kick flick with no kick.
That's good.
And the only reason I say that is for a kung fu movie, the fighting was horrible.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. and I was really kind of looking forward to some kick flick, and maybe I'm spoiled by what
Jackie
did we watch?
Chan and Jet Li.
Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and or even the Kung Fu Fury, or whatever we watched, back
Kung
then.
Fury, yeah, gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And I expected more impressive fight scenes, and this was so bad. It was so bad to the point where it was comical. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said before, the 80s kid, Sam, would have loved this back in the 80s, right? I mean, obviously this drips with the 80s. But at the same time, I don't ever want to go back. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it's the outfits and the dancing together in the streets and the music. I just don't like that music. And this one, I mean, talk about trying to sell me on 80s music. This is almost like a musical, right? With the 80s music in it. And it was cringeworthy. But at the same time, I'm like, why am I enjoying this piece of crap?
Right.
So I'm sitting there trying to, how am I going to review this thing? Because I hate it, but I love it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's itching a scratch that I haven't itched in a while. With a kind of a Saturday afternoon matinee type of thing.
Did you just say itching a scratch?
Itching a scratch that I haven't itched in a while?
Scratching an itch?
There you go. Yeah, scratching an itch.
One's a verb and one's not. I'm with you.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm having a hard time. I don't even know how I'm going to grade this thing, because it's in terms of making me smile and laugh at it and the stupidity. It was a lot of fun, right? But at the same time, it's just so bad. It's just such a bad movie. So bad.
This is, I mean, to your point, Sam, about the martial arts being bad. I mean, you're not wrong. This is in a time in the 80s and the early 90s did this basically until Jackie Chan came along, as far as I know. Yep. And that was one punch knocks a bad guy out.
Yep. The One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like he's just flailing his leg around, kicking people, and they are flying. I mean, just I know that these guys are, like, let's say our hero is super strong, but I mean, these guys are 230, 250-pound dudes that are flying like they were shot out of a slingshot.
The kids were sending some of these guys flying.
Now, the little kid, which we've seen, now, Corny, you probably know this because you know this movie maybe better than, well, you probably know it better than any of us. That's definitely true. But that little kid would go on to star in another American kick flick called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Seriously.
He's the Asian kid that hangs out with, his name's Kano. He's the pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie, his martial arts was the best in the movie, except for the other guy that didn't know any, but then turned out that he was actually good.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Leroy was fit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was fit. But it just he didn't sell me on being a kung fu master. I'm afraid. Even with the glow, even with his glow, I never was sold on it.
Well, he didn't really sell himself on it until much later.
Very true. Andrew, what's your 500 review?
Well, I have two. Infomercial for the 80s. And I know it's only four, but that is. And then beautifully 80s, but done poorly.
All right.
Yeah. And so I started thinking about other movies that were done in this time. And, 84, 85, those are big years for movies. And we had things like The Goonies that came out in 85, and The Breakfast Club, and Weird Science, which is
all of those are very 80s, right?
Yeah.
It's just they avoided the bad part of the 80s, I think.
Yeah. And I think had this movie been made later, I got kind of a I almost said the wrong thing. No, that's right. Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, Scott
right?
Pilgrim vibe. Yeah.
I kind of got a little bit of that vibe. Later on, when we started getting his glow, and we see the, all the neon lights when he's kicking the Shogun, and it was, but it was. I agree with Sam. There were some things that I generally laughed at, but they were things that weren't supposed to be funny. They were things that, his acting. Okay, Leroy Green, bless his heart, that guy can't act for anything. I mean, and I just laughed at his facial expressions. And there's one moment where he's staring into the camera, and you think it's like just going to happen for a second. It's a good 5 or 6 seconds of him just staring in the camera. And I thought, my God, this is terrible. I just started laughing. I don't know if it's Soul Train vibe or what kind of vibe you want to call it with the dance party and the music videos and that. But I kind of enjoyed that because I missed that part of the 80s. Sam says he doesn't miss that.
Oh, no.
I kind of do. I love 80s music, and that part I kind of missed. And then my last and probably biggest complaint is the boss, the mob boss, the whatever, his girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a voice.
He's trying to make her a star, which, number one, I don't get it, because there's no chemistry between them. That you don't buy it as them being a couple or even even friends with benefits. You just don't buy that. And then she's just the most annoying voice I've ever heard. I think she's right up there with Fran Drescher. So
yeah. Anybody else get the hopping man? Only this time it was the hopping weapon or the hopping monster.
Well, yeah. So there are hopping men or man all throughout this movie. I mean, this movie felt like a constant set up and then ignore, We're going to set up a thing and then ignore it. There's a monster in the tank that we, one, never see, and two, it doesn't kill anyone. Then what's the point of having it? Like, there was no point of having it. Like, it would have been a funny bit if the Arcadia guy, which he's like a mob boss, but he runs arcades. Like, I was never really sure about, one, how he got his power or why he was evil. But like, if he would have, like, if Bruce Leroy would have threw him into the thing, like if he had a full head of hair, right, and then the monster eats off the hair, and when he comes out, now he's bald. Okay, there's a payoff there. At least we have a gag. Because
it did scratch his face.
Oh, gee whiz, a little scratch. Because I was watching this with my wife, as I do, and she says, "You know someone's going to get eaten in that thing." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they have to. You have to have someone get eaten in there," and no one does. It was such a hopping man. The other hopping man was the barking guy. Like, when they're having like bad guy auditions, like, this guy is being portrayed as so insane that all he can do is bark, yet he is skilled enough to use a typewriter to create a resume.
This is another moment that I just busted out laughing. I mean, and I don't think it was supposed to be funny. I think it was supposed to be somewhat intimidating. But
totally out of Blazing Saddles, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Like, but that's a parody. Whereas this is like, we need to have bad guy auditions because this Bruce Leroy is legitimately awesome villain or hero. So they literally have this guy who's got like a leash and these crazy. Again, he's also wearing like hockey pads or something, and he's just barking. But we don't see him fight anybody. He's not in the final boss. We just get Mohawk Colonel Sanders, who gets pantsed for some reason, and if you look when he's getting taken down, he's laughing. He's actually laughing. Like, I don't think that the actor could act. Like, he was just like, "Oh, these kids are all loving me. This is fun. I'm on camera. Look, Ma, hey!" Like, he's laughing. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. So
this, I will say, I did feel like maybe I've got a shot if we go back to the 80s and I'm me today. I could have a chance to be a big guy in a movie, because none of these guys were muscular. Like, you didn't see any villains that were built. You just saw these
other
fat
than Shogun.
guys.
Shogun at least had some muscles on it.
The first scene where we meet Shogun and the guy pulls his shirt off in the top of the balcony of the theater, and he's wearing this like little I don't even know what to call it. It looks like a sports bra, and he's like 4 times bigger than me, and I'm like, this guy's the intimidating one. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Julius Carey, who played Shogun, he was 6'5". He was a big man. I mean, that's huge in Hollywood. And unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 56 from cancer, which is a bummer. But he's done some acting. I mean, as sad as it is to say, he's kind of the best actor in the movie.
Yeah, I would go on that.
Like, sure. He only has one note, but he's really good at that one note. Whereas everyone else is terrible at their one note that they do.
He is the kung fu film we wanted to see.
Yeah.
No, seriously, right?
Yeah.
That is the kung fu enemy, the kung fu big bad that we go to see kung fu movies about.
Yeah.
There was no real kung fu hero. It was so dry when it came to the movie that I was expecting.
Well, again, and this here's the other problem. One of the many with this movie is you have 2 villains. You have 2 bad guys, right? And both of them just want Bruce Leroy out of the way. One is for personal gain, and the other one is because he's protecting Vanity, so that for some reason, so that Eddie, whatever his name is, he can get her to
cake.
Give her cake, yeah. So he can get her to endorse fake Cyndi Lauper, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Again, I was never really fully sure of that motivation. It just always seemed. That's not a word. It always seemed. He seemed more aggressive than he needed to be. I mean, he's a record, or he's an exec. He's got a lot of money. All he has to do is just flash some of that money. He can buy 20 minutes worth of her time. He just calls her publicist and says, "Hey, I have a deal. I have a performer. I have a lot of money. I want her just to have a look. There's no reason to send goons to kidnap her.
Yeah.
There's
no
there's really
Arcadia. No, that's the problem. She said no. And that's what said all of it.
Yeah, I get that she said no, but
he threw a tantrum is what he did.
Yeah, he threw a tantrum, and he's ridiculous, and it never made sense, and he seemed evil for just because the script told him to be.
Yeah, but so did Shogun.
Yeah, but for some reason, Shogun felt like what he was trying to do is he wanted to be the king of the streets of Harlem. Like, his motivation seemed more real than the other guys.
Okay, I get it.
Who's the prettiest? Who's the meanest?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like I could see that kind of character in like an episode of Luke Cage.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he just feels like, I don't think he would be a boss. He kind of feels like he would be a sub boss of someone. He's the sub boss to Cottonmouth or whatever, right? From the Luke Cage series. But
see that?
Yeah, he seems like he's the not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he doesn't need to be. He's just there because he's a blunt instrument, so he can go and do blunt instrument things like what he does in this movie. So anyway, Corny, you have a 5-word review?
I do. This is discount boards don't hit back.
Nice. Nice. Very discount.
Yeah.
Without going too far, I'm going to be very biased about this movie. I am never bored with it. It is atrocious. It is all things you don't want to see in a movie. But yes, Sam, as an 80s kid, it's everything you want to see in an 80s
Right?
movie.
Absolutely.
I will say, as a kid, because this came out in 85, I would actually say I watched this maybe before age 6. So it was like one of the first movies I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we were talking about it, but this movie was the first time that I got to see a black person with superpowers.
Sure.
And it was like, oh, that's awesome. And him fighting, hordes of enemies and saving the day, even though he's a little different from everybody else, that's all right. And for someone like me, who apparently was just born different from the rest of my siblings, I was like, there is a place for me. Yeah. So I guess the movie to me was a little bit more near and dear. But obviously, as I've gotten older, I'm like, what a big pile of shit this movie was. And I will also say, my best friend at the time in high school, we weren't friends until like maybe I was 11. But we were hanging out one day, and we're like shooting basketball, and I start hearing, and he's just humming it. I was like, are you humming the theme to The Last Dragon? He was like, The Last Dragon? I was like, yes. And he was like,
you should have said, I am the Last Dragon.
I should have responded with show enough. That should have been my
show enough.
But like, that was an instant bonding moment for someone that I genuinely liked. And but ultimately, you guys aren't wrong. Like, the fighting is real bad. The kid was the best. The kid and Tony were the best actual martial artists there.
You know what? I think I'm going to have to go. So I think the kid is the best actor in this movie. Because I totally bought him as the little wisecracking kid.
The little brother? Yeah.
The little brother. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. The little brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Not short round, but you're talking about the Bruce Lee.
Little brother with jealousy issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see that too. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Again, he's a one-note kid, right? He has one note. Be whiny kid.
Yeah, but he had to show anger. He had to show humor. He had to show all sorts of different things as an actor in this movie.
The acting range of all of two things.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're not wrong. He's not terrible. He's probably I think he is probably one of the better things in the movie. Though he annoyed the hell out of me, but yeah.
Yeah. Which I think he's supposed to.
Yeah, he's definitely supposed to.
I will say this. Speaking of that kid, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is as Leroy's like looking for Shogun, and the kid's in the back, Leroy, don't leave me here, Leroy. Oh, don't leave, that kind of thing. And I think of myself in an actual situation where you're like trying to speak up someone like, shut the up.
Right.
Oh, but Leroy's he's found the glow, or he's about to find the glow. He wasn't thinking of that.
Well,
of negative thoughts.
But there's this has that trope where it's like the hero has to go do it alone, therefore he physically prevents someone from helping him, but that person overcomes the thing that the prevention and then actually helps. Right? So like he locks the buddy in the weapons cabinet, and then the kid comes and unlocks him, and then he gets the whole gang, which without Bruce Leroy would have gotten his butt kicked by guy bit his nunchuck in half for some reason. I don't know why you need to do that, but all right. And then
there was nunchuck left.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. We've missed those puns. And then he puts the kid in the cage, who again eventually gets out and then is able to save. Doesn't he save Vanity at some point or something? I thought he did something else actually genuinely helpful, and I thought, Bruce, just let the people help you. I can't remember. Did he? He didn't stay in the cage for the rest of the movie. I thought he got out.
No, he did get out. Yeah,
I thought he got out and was able to. I honestly don't remember.
He went out and just breakdanced on the floor at the end. I think he just went ahead and started the dance party.
That sounds right. So this movie, budget $10 million, actually made $25 million. I mean, technically, good for them. It's a financial success. And you're going to be actually kind of surprised when I read off the list of names of people that not only auditioned, but actually petitioned to be in this movie. And the director said no to. Now, in 85, some of these actors are not people that they are now. Mm-hmm. But you still got to have hoped that the director was like, maybe this other guy would be better. He might have a career. No, I'm going to go with this guy because he has one name. Anyway. My 5-word review is so I'm using Kung Fu as one word. That's how I have to. Well, Andrew only used 4, so I'm going to steal one of his in case you want to use Kung Fu as 2 words. Black Kung Fu fights white trash. There you go.
I can dig it.
I'm glad. Yeah, Eddie annoyed me. He annoyed me a lot, but he's supposed to. He's just... he's annoying. Gosh, this movie. So some of the other fun things that I liked about the movie was during the opening scene where so it's like back in the day where you have all the credits and so what you're seeing behind the credits is just kind of establishing stuff. Like sometimes it'll just be establishing shots of like Miami or whatever. In this case, it's just him doing Kung Fu. And the part I laughed out loud, again, this is the beginning where I realized what I was in for, is when we're seeing him just use chopsticks. He's not using them to catch flies. He's just, I have chopsticks in my hand. See? It's just too funny.
I kind of feel like at some point they said, all right, what are some Asian things that we can just put in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wrote Who Bites an Ankle. I'm trying to remember what that was from. It was during the fight scene in the theater. And when things were going, it was like a melee, and somebody just bites an ankle. I thought that was kind of weird. I also like that there is a Coke ad in the movie as a Coke ad in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little like Inception thing happening. Also, holy William H. Macy Batman.
I know. That surprised the snot out of me. Yeah.
Who, I guess, would he also be a hopping man?
Yeah, we never saw him again.
Never see him again.
I honestly forgot he was in the movie until you just said that.
The story.
Say it again, Corny.
He's not really important to the story. He's just a dude, like, you got 5 minutes, or his manager.
Like a director. Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like he had such urgency. Like he genuinely seemed scared of Eddie Arcadia. So like, I would have felt better if like, I don't know, for some reason, if he was around more saying things like, you keep getting kidnapped by Eddie, maybe you should hire a bodyguard, or I don't know. Just he was there for one scene and then was gone. So again,
we are also very spoiled knowing that he is a decent actor in later films.
Yeah.
That we expected more William H. Macy.
I guess you would have to say he has the best career out of any of the guys in this movie, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
There's gonna be like a background person like Denzel or something like that, the background actor.
Well, we'll mention. I'm gonna mention Denzel later. Let's see. The Oriental dude getting his head kicked was pretty funny. I'm trying to remember why I wrote that.
Which guy was that?
Which one?
I just wrote Oriental dude, which is weird. I even said that, but
was that the some dumb guy? Plant.
The only thing I can think of was in the because my next note is the Rick James lines. The only thing I can think of is when they're in the studio and he jumps out and does his whoa whatever crazy stuff, and then he gets chased around the room, and then I think somebody just randomly kicks him in the face and he does like a backflip or something. I think that made me laugh. I also I like this one. There's a lot of kissing of hands and feet in this movie. I don't know if you noticed that. There's a lot of people kissing each other's hands and feet. I noticed that. I'm trying to remember specifically where it is, but obviously I noticed it if I wrote the note down.
Sounds like something you'd noticed there, Sean.
I know.
Creepy.
Well,
so creepy.
Yeah, I know. I also want coveralls that say sound department. I need those.
Yeah.
Okay, Corny, you about that a spit take there with your beer.
I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, man, if only I had that for Carowinds, would have been fantastic.
I know. I can see the director is like, now we need to make sure that we know that these guys are crew. Costume department, do you guys have something? Well, we have T-shirts that say crew. We need to be more specific because these guys are doing a concert. We need them to say sound department. And they need to look more official than T-shirts. So how about coveralls? Okay. It seemed like a director that had never been on the set of a concert before.
Yeah, all black and headsets. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Because you would, it's literally you would see that. You would see if a dude was wearing black pants and a black shirt that said crew. Everyone knows what that means. Even in the '80s, you know what that means. But
yeah,
no, he's got to be wearing coveralls. That dude probably is just sweating his balls off. I mean, working backstage at a concert, as Corny knows, is not easy work. I mean, it's work, and you want to be as comfortable as you can. So, let's see. I did write what. It would have been funnier if the water monster took his hair. I mentioned that. I just realized Show Nuff is wearing football pads.
Wait. Can we back up?
Yeah.
So why, when Arcadian goes to see Shogun, does he have a hairpiece? Why is he wearing a hairpiece? Why is he wearing a full wig there and nowhere else in the movie? I think his hair is a hopping man.
Ah,
that's so funny. I never even noticed it, but you're right. You're so right.
So we got a lot of on-set hopping things in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's another thing that there's no payoff to it. Like he just wears it to see Shogun and then never again.
Well, Shogun's got all that luscious hair. You don't want to just show up like, underdressed.
Well,
that's true.
The whole scene was really dumb to me anyway, because he shows up with this money. The only purpose of the money was to have the gag when he shuts it that the big guy gets his thumb squoze in the briefcase. That's the only purpose of the bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole purpose of the scene is this one thing that didn't make me laugh. The part that made me laugh was the bad dialogue that Shogun says, which I did very much capture. But again, that's also a hopping man. He says, just have him there at the designated time at the designated place. But we never see them agree on what that is.
What would it be? Yeah.
What it would be. And the fact that Bruce Leroy shows up and crashes the party was a surprise to Eddie. Like, he did not expect that to happen. And if he knew all he had to do was get him at that warehouse place at a certain time, then why hire all these other bad guys? You know what I'm saying? This man has said, "I will kill him for you." Then just send him a note, send him a whatever, some kind of note that says, "If you want to see the girl again, I have her. She's here. Come here at midnight." Like, that's all you got to do.
Not a good plan.
Oh yeah, I got to play that, don't I?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
not a good plan.
I don't have it
So-
handy.
I'd like to say this about this movie. The more I watch it, the more I realize this was like somebody spitting out an idea. And at first, the idea sounds awesome. Never writes a script. Just day one, he's like, "Yeah, so what you're gonna do is, here, put this hairpiece on. I haven't been wearing one yet. Oh, that's fine, son. I'll go back and we'll edit it in post. It's fine."
You will fix it in post. Yeah.
Fix it in post.
You're not wrong. I honestly, Andrew, I didn't even notice that he was wearing a hairpiece in the scene. The other part of the clothing, and again, Corny, I know where it feels like we're ripping this movie apart and we're all having a good time, and this is your movie.
It's a great time.
No, and again, this is your movie, and I know that there's a couple of movies that I feel the same way about. Like one of those movies that I feel that like near and dear to my heart is like The Last Starfighter. Like that's one of those movies. Like that's what that movie to me is. What this movie kind of is to you. It's like, oh, it's just a regular kid who can play video games, becomes the hero, the savior of a planet because he can play video games. Like I can kind of get behind that, but it's a bad movie, and I know that.
Well, and that makes me, I worry about some of these movies I haven't seen in 20-something years, 20-plus years, of how bad they really are. Things like Never-Ending Story or some of the other 80s stuff.
Well, Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
European Vacation.
First.
Yeah.
I think, in fairness to those very specific movies, I think there's a big difference, especially like European Vacation. But like, I think some of those again, Last Starfighter, not a big studio movie. I mean, this movie, The Last Dragon, was TriStar, but $10 million low budget, kind of under the radar kind of a movie. It did get nominated for 2 Razzies, which is cool. But
there were Razzies back then?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It did also get nominated for a Golden Globe too, which is tonight as we record.
For what?
For the Rhythm of the Night song.
Yeah.
So was that song done for this movie?
Sort of. It was on their album, but they featured it in this movie to advertise it for the album.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The Barge song. So I was watching it with Lindsay, and I start singing the song, and she looks at me and goes, "How the hell do you know that song?" And I was like, "This was the entirety of my '80s. The song, just over and over and over again." But she just looks and goes, "What in the name of Black Santa are you?"
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, she's flirting with him hardcore, right? The whole movie, she's kind of flirting all over him, and he's just not picking it up. And so she decides to make a supercut of Bruce Lee videos, and she shows him on the big screen, or I guess it's a projector at the studio. And he is watching with this face of just pure joy, like he has never seen any of these movies before. He's like, wow, I'm watching fireworks for the first time. This is amazing. I mean, it's just, his face cracked me up. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. It's truly amazing. I also was curious as how they got in. The kids are sitting there banging at the door, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, follow me." And they just magically know how to climb to the roof to get into the studio.
That little brother's resourceful, man. Don't knock it.
He was. Let's see. All fight scenes are better with spark effects. And then one of my last note was, I guess they cleaned up all the bad guys because they still had a concert to do at the studio. So it's a good thing that the fight scene didn't break anything.
Yeah, for Jimmy and maintenance. Hey, Jimmy. Yeah. Look, man. You're gonna be real mad at this, but I need you to come out and clean the studio. Man, he walks out and goes.
We got like
Just
20 knocked out dudes here. One of them's wearing a collar. Other guy's got splinters of wood in his teeth. I need you to brush them aside. It's just they just go back and they're all gone. Like there's no police there. I mean, it's just like it never happened. It just never happened. The other thing I was curious about, maybe you guys again can help me out. So Eddie is up in the control booth, and his main henchman there is with him, and he pulls out a gun, and then Eddie grabs it from him, and then starts yelling at him to take off his clothes, and he's putting something on. Was it like the shoulder harness for the gun? I didn't know what was happening.
I believe it was the shoulder harness.
And there was one scene where it was on him perfectly fine, so you could tell they did it in multiple shots, and then it cut back and it was all jacked up again.
Yeah. Is that what you're saying, Corny? Sorry, you're cut out.
I was like, it was on and it wasn't, and it was. I was also going to say it's probably because of the rhythm of the night.
I just didn't know what it was at first. I'm like, is he just want his vest? What does he want? I didn't know what was happening. He didn't want. It just seemed weird. Like, you can't have the gun. I must have the gun and the holster. Usually he was very animated about the holster. Usually bad guys just take the gun and then when they're done with it, they either stick it in their pants or you know what I'm saying, they put it in their belt. But he needed that shoulder holster for some reason. There's another thing with no payoff.
Looks cool. That's all that matters.
I guess. Maybe that's how he lost his hairpiece. Maybe when he was putting the thing on, it fell off or something. I mean, back to your point about the hairpiece, I'm actually genuinely curious. It makes me think that when they filmed that scene early in the shooting schedule, and either something happened to it, right? I'm not wrong in saying that he wasn't wearing it when he went into the fish tank, right? Like I'm not wrong.
No, he wasn't. No. But I think you're right.
Prop Master lost it.
I think maybe they filmed it and then ran that scene once, and it got into the fish tank, and then it was like destroyed, and they couldn't use it again. So like, well, okay, we're not going to use it.
Okay.
Hey, reset strike. Wait, where's the hairpiece? It's at the bottom of the thing. Okay. No hairpiece. Let's go back.
Yeah, I'm actually, so I have it pulled up here. I'm actually scrubbing back to look to see if I can see him wearing it at any point earlier in the movie. And he's not. It's so weird. That's just too funny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, because let's see. This is where Bruce Leroy comes in, and he's not wearing it when he gets dunked into the water. So anyway, whatever. It's great. That's it. Some of the tropes that I wrote down. Let's see. Bumbling bad guys. That's a good trope. Theme gang. I like a good 80s theme gang, where I guess in this case it was just kung fu, I guess. There is no special ingredient, right? He was the master the whole time, so there is no special ingredient. That's one that's been around for forever, but it's a good one.
Speaking of those gangs real quick, I want to be one of the guys that works at the fortune cookie company.
Right? Those guys are great.
So you just stand outside and lip sync and dance and let the machine do its work.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're not wrong. Let's see. Popeye moment. This movie has a great Popeye moment. Yeah, that's it. Oh, my last note also, I did ha 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 ha. He eats popcorn with chopsticks. I did write that. Oh crap! There's another note I missed. I'm looking back at my very top of my notes here. When Shogun walks into the theater and he's wearing that jacket, I guess I said, "Oh look, it's the original Tiger King." Okay, that's it. You guys ready for some clips? Because I know you are.
Oh, yeah.
I am.
Oh, here you go. I got 8 delicious clips. Here we go. Show enough. Oops. Hold on.
Am I the meanest?
Sure enough.
Am I the prettiest?
Sure enough.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this town?
Sure enough.
Well, who am I?
Sure enough.
Who am I?
Sure enough.
I can't hear you.
Sure enough.
Shogun of Harlem.
Okay. I just thought that was great. That was one, especially the fact that they had reverb on. That was pretty good too. And you also have to think, like, because these are things I think about. Like, do they sit around, like when he started to become the guy, right? Because usually bad guys that become the bad guys because they beat somebody else, right? So he comes in to Harlem. He grows up here. He starts beating up other people because he's 6'5" and knows kung fu and can glow red. So he started beating up all these people, and so these other bad guys, these weird girls in the hair and the shoulder pads, they gravitate to him. And so then at some point they had to have a bad guy meeting where he said, if I start asking you questions in front of people, all you do is just respond, show enough. Like those are the things I think about. They had to have a meeting about that, right?
Or
It had
maybe
to be a show enough meeting. Yeah.
I was like, maybe all he does is respond with shown up, and then they pick it up. Like, he just trains them that way.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go to the store? Shown up. Okay. What do you want to pick up? Shown up. I don't know if they have shown.
Is that the
shown
stuff?
up?
Is that the stuff that goes on the shoulders for the pads? Is that what those things are? You know, like did the prop guy for the costumes? Did he also like have to get bagels and donuts for the meeting? He's like. I can see him like picking up the small guy, right? Picks him up and he says, "Bring me, lox and bagels," and sends them to go get the stuff so they can have the meeting when they come back. And you're like, "This is what I'm gonna walk into the theater, right? It's gonna be big and scary. You guys are gonna line up on the sides, and then you're gonna flank me. And then if anyone says anything about me, just pick them up. Well, what if it's a kid? I don't care. You're gonna pick them up and hand them to me like it's a toy." Okay.
And then 2 minions are muttering to each other walking out of the meeting.
Yeah.
Man, that could have been an email.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I said bagels, right? Because if there's not food, then it should have been an email.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I didn't capture it. I didn't capture it later on, but well, okay, I'll play this and then I'll get there. All right, Bruce Leroy.
Who's badder than the Shogun?
Bruce Leroy, that too.
Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy.
And then I didn't capture it. I should have. But then you have expositional bad guy, who says Bruce Leroy is the only guy standing between the Shogun and Harlem. Like, that sounds like something that Shogun would have beat him for even putting that out there in the ether that guy could in fact possibly beat the Shogun. Thank you, expositional guy.
See what I got seen is who's better than Bruce Leroy is. Who the hell said that? I just wanted one of those.
Yeah. Who said that? But I mean, I'm also confused as to back to the original point of Bruce Leroy's backstory. Like, they know who he is. People know who he is, and they know that he's a genuine threat to the Shogun. So it's like, it feels like there would have been a confrontation before now, but
maybe there's a prequel out there that we don't know about.
See,
the first dragon.
Yeah, the first dragon, and then the second, and then finally the last. I mean, honestly, Hollywood's constantly looking for things to reboot. Let's reboot this. Let's get Michael B. Jordan to be Bruce Leroy. I mean, let's do this.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, I kept saying, like, they're going to do a reunion or they're going to do another one. And I was just like, hey, all right, no time to panic. This will be fine. If they do this, it's great. I've been very sad. Very, very sad. I was going to say, I'm looking at, okay, this is going to sound weird, but in the neighborhood that I grew up, let's just say, for instance, someone's pretty badass at basketball, but there's another badass who doesn't ever go around. You just know he's very good. Everybody knows he's good. And at no point in time does this guy ever come around to the little neighborhood goal, doesn't play. But the guy who keeps talking shit is like, oh, I beat him too. And the other guy's like, I don't care to play. But then one day, he's just walking by. I say this because this actually happened to us. But the guy walks by and absolutely destroys. But the point is that no one ever challenges the other person to play said game. So I could see in a situation with a predominantly black area that, they're two badasses or something, but, they stick to their area and then, just I am as good as I am, or I am better than the other person, but there's no competition about it because no one wants to actually prove it. No one wants to be the person who lost. So you just go about your business now. And Shogun was just like, no, I'm going to fight him. I don't know. I guess I could see a reason to not actually go and have this competition earlier. Just enough people have been saying on both sides that, Shogun is badass, but Leroy's pretty good,
I think it would have been, all you have to do is add in one sentence, and I think this part makes more sense, is when the kid says, Bruce Leroy can beat you, and he says, he just should say, all he says is Bruce Leroy. If he says, who's Bruce Leroy? And then they all go, him. Right, so that would suggest that, one, either that Shonuff is new, that he's come to Harlem to take over and he doesn't know who this kid is, or it goes back to our original theory that Bruce Leroy has been studying in China for the last however many years, and he's back home now finally to save Harlem. I think either one of those, but in the remake, the Hollywood remake, that's what would happen. He would have actually traveled to China and studied under Jackie Chan. Like Jackie Chan plays the old man in this movie. In fact, let's just get the kid from the Karate Kid. Let's just get Jackie Chan and the Smith kid, and then we'll get Michael B. Jordan can be Shogun.
Okay.
Or the Chitwell Ejiofor, I can't pronounce his name, but the dude from Doctor Strange and Serenity. Let him be Shogun. I mean, he'll be way more subtle. He won't be over the top, but I like it. All right. I like the phrase, fix your face. That makes me laugh. Here we go. Fix your face.
Now, we don't want our star to look like a little pig peed in her eyes now, do we? Then knock it off. Don't bug me. Fix your face. Shut up!
Here is 8 seconds of really bad acting. Here you go.
Got myself a bodyguard, like someone to guard my body.
Jesus, that's so bad. It's bad writing too. It's not all her fault. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but she's
rest her soul.
Terrible. Oh, did she pass away?
Yeah, she died in 2016. She was 57 years old.
57.
Wow, they're all young.
Oh, she's Canadian too.
Go on.
Hey.
How about that? She was in a movie called 52 Pickup. With
I was curious.
Or Roy Schneider. Sorry, not Rob Schneider. It's a very different movie.
Oh, that's a very different movie, then.
I forgot. Yeah, she's in Action Jackson. That's cool. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, I was curious about Vanity. The one, you get these people with the one name, Madonna, Vanity, and I was curious where it came from. So she was in a group called Vanity 6, which I'd never heard of. But, yeah.
Well, it's a Canadian group. I mean,
that's why I've never heard of it.
They might just finally break down here to America. They're always kind of behind us.
We have a friend we can ask to see if.
Yes, we do. I'll have to ask. Yeah, you're right. We do have a good Canadian friend who he's a friend of ours, not a friend of the podcast, but.
Is that legal? Can you ask Canadians things, or is that it?
Yeah, we video game with them every night, just about actually.
Yeah. I thought called under previous administration. Canadians.
No, we're okay with them. They do have space money though, with their holes in their coins and stuff. Rick James.
You fight me, you big, ugly, smelly breath sucker! How about you, Stream Bean Rick James looking fool?
Peace, kill him!
I like how his Bruce Lee noise turns into words. It's just like the first time I heard it, I thought, what the heck did he just say? Because it just transitions from wah into how about I fight you. It's really weird.
You fight me, you big, ugly, smelly breath sucker! How about you, Stream Bean Rick James?
Oh, anyway, it sounded weird. Here's 37 seconds of people just roasting the couple, Eddie and the lady, just roasting each other. I thought this was great.
Where you gonna go, Angie? Without me, you're nothing. Without that outfit, you're just another no-talent dental hygiene school dropout from Kew Gardens getting by on her tits.
And in the end, Daddy, you know what? You're nothing but a misguided midget asshole with dreams of ruling the world. Yeah, also from Kew Gardens. And also getting by on my tits.
I just like the phrase
That would
midget
be a blazing
asshole.
saddle line. You're right, Sam. That would be a blazing saddle line.
And I hate to be this guy, but going back to this girl, that phrase doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, she does have paint cans on the front of her in that scene. It's a little awkward.
Oh yeah, that scene made me think of Dumb and Dumber, where he's like envisioning his date with the girl from Dumb and Dumber, and then her boobs turn into headlights and they're like flashing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Andrew, thank you for keeping us abreast of the situation there. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Designated survivor. Here we go.
You just get that sucker to the designated place at the designated time, and I will gladly designate his ass for dismemberment.
You don't think anybody said, think we could come up with a better line? Nope. Oh, sorry. I was
Nope.
Nope.
That'll work.
That's it. Okay. Now, last clip, and then I'm going to get to... Honestly, I'm actually going to say the only thing that was a little weird for me for the movie. So, okay, so I captured this because I wrote it down because I didn't understand what he said. So this was once again a game of Sean not knowing what he said. But when I went back and captured it, I understood finally what was happening. So here's 7 seconds of Eddie being Eddie.
Nothing like this on stage, screen, radio, TV, or cable, baby. This is an exclusive.
So when I was listening to it for the first time, I was confused because he says stage, screen, TV, radio, TV, and I thought he does know that those are not the same thing. Like, because the way he said it made it sound like there was one thing, like radio, TV. That's not a thing. Then I realized he was saying this fight we're about to get, you can't see on these mediums. We're getting an exclusive. But
this comma.
Yeah, we're missing a breath in between the things because he says them so fast. I was confused. So, Corny, you can help me out here. Honestly, the only part of the movie that whenever it happened, it hit me in the face because this movie is so kind of goofy. It's not a parody. It's a serious attempt at being a genuine action, I guess, action comedy because there is intentional comedic elements, right? Like, slamming the briefcase on the thumbs and like that's intentionally to be funny. And there's other moments that are supposed to be funny. But when the Rick James guy dropped the N-word, that hit me in the face. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was that kind of movie. I mean, either the other three white guys on the podcast, did that kind of come across as just out of the blue, or am I the only one?
No, I thought it was strange for sure, but I don't know the reference of this movie, so
considering.
No, go ahead, Corny.
Oh, I was going to say, considering the tone of the movie, I think the first time I watched this movie wasn't in its no. Yeah, the first time I watched this movie wasn't in the theater.
Probably on Saturday morning WGN kind of thing, yeah.
So that part wasn't there.
Yeah.
Some of the other things. And I kind of understood what was being said. So obviously when I heard it for the first time, I was like, oh, that's really out of context. However, it's weird. It is out of context, and it just comes out of nowhere. However, I guess I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, it's hard to explain from my viewpoint that I expect it, but also don't expect it.
I mean, he's a dude from Harlem, right? So I understand that he's using the word in the context that he's a dude from Harlem, and he's talking to, predominantly other black people when he talks to people in this movie. Again, except for like the one random white girl that's on his staff, and Eddie Arcadia, but it just, like I said, the tone of this movie is what made it weird for me. You know what I'm saying? It would have been, if there were a lot of F-bombs and more violence and more of a kind of earnest way to make this movie seem more of an action movie, like a Bloodsport. You're trying to make a black version of Bloodsport or Under Siege or any number of those types of movies. Then with the N-word, it kind of fits the context, I think. But for some reason, and again, Blazing Saddles they're making fun of that whole thing anyway. So of course it makes total sense in that movie as well. It felt like having the F-bomb randomly dropped in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how out of place it felt to me for what the movie is. But I also get it that the dude's from Harlem. So I know that's just, every time he dropped it, I was like, oh, okay, this is where we are. That's fine. It was just a little thing for me is all.
And of course I would have loved it not had avoided it altogether, because it was just awkward. Like, you're right, it's completely awkward. It doesn't. You're right. It needs to have other context before the word is. If you got cussing, you're right. Exactly what you said. I think it's less awkward, but it was just like the first time I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's not a Tarantino movie. It's a little different. So anyway, all right, time for this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
So I got some great trivia on this movie. That's one of the advantages of having a movie that's this old, is you get some good trivia. This movie I mentioned has made. Oh, I was wrong. It's made $33 million against about $10 million budget. But it's actually made more money in the last 10 or 15 years because it's kind of turned into a cult hit. So like VHS, DVD, Blu-ray rentals and things like that. Heck, it got money from us because we had to rent the movie to watch it for the podcast. So he's still making some money off this. During the introductory training sequences, Leroy Green karate chops an arrow as it soars past him. This was a real stunt that took 2 hours to get right. Wow. So they actually shot an arrow, and he actually karate chopped it in the air. I don't know how they could have faked it. I'm sure there probably was a way to fake it, but I appreciate that he tried, that he did it.
Yeah.
He's the last dragon. He can do it.
That's true. When filming started, Julius Carey, who's Shogun, did not practice any form of martial arts. And I can totally see it, because there's some stuff that he does that it's just a 6'5" man flailing around. So, all right, you ready for this one, Corny? This is great. Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Ron O'Neal, Billy D. Williams, and Carl Weathers were considered for the role for Sho'nuff.
Sorry, I was chewing.
You're fine.
Let's see. Out of those, Jim Brown would have been great.
Jim Brown would have been good. I think Carl Weathers would have been pretty good too.
That was going to be my second answer. I was like, Carl Weathers, I could see that, especially young Carl Weathers.
I mean, he's coming off Rocky, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Billy D. Williams
Nah.
I don't think I could see that in this.
That answers all other show. No.
Yeah, I mean, when the question's asked who's the prettiest, I think that actually becomes accurate for once. But
yeah,
and they just go, "You are, I am." Thank you.
I was wrong when I said Denzel. I was mistaken. Wesley Snipes and Lawrence Fishburne auditioned and lobbied hard for the role of Leroy Green. How could you not cast Wesley Snipes in this movie?
Yeah,
because Wesley probably would have taken it too seriously. And Lawrence Fishburne, I can't see him in that role at the time. But man.
How could you not cast Wesley Snipes? I mean, I know 1985 Wesley Snipes. It's different.
Shit out of that guy.
But like I feel like the martial arts would have been more genuine. And you're right. Yeah. He probably would have played it more seriously than this kid did. But I don't know. I'm just gonna say it. Missed opportunity is all I'm gonna say. All right, time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
What else could we do but worst martial art movies as our top 3? So I'm making an executive decision here and now because Andrew's lists are always better than everyone else's. So Corny, I'm going to let you go first as our guest because technically you're our guest, and then we'll go from there. But Andrew, you're going to go last because your lists are always way better than anyone else's. So Corny?
Okay.
Yeah, screw you and your list, Andrew. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. It's the glow talking.
It's the glow.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Beverly Hills Ninja.
Oh, okay. I was hoping no one would pick it. Take it.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with basically any Steven Seagal movie. Let's just go ahead and blanket that. It doesn't matter. I could pick one. I'm just going to go with that. But my favorite worst martial art movie is going to be Three Ninjas.
Nice. Yeah, the kid movies. Yeah, I watched. So hold on. So did you pick movies that are terrible but that you liked, or that are just terrible?
Terrible movies that I liked.
Did anybody else do that? Because I didn't. I picked movies that are both terrible and I hated.
Yeah. I mixed and matched.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. As long as I'm not the only one.
I haven't seen very many kick flicks like this that are bad. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, sure. So my list includes Street Fighter at number 3.
Which one?
Oh, man.
The original.
Okay.
Right. I've got Rush Hour at number 2, which I kind of like, but it's just not, it's
but
not
the
there.
martial arts is good in that. It's not a good movie if you don't want to think it's a good movie, but Jackie Chan is doing his thing.
Yeah. But then I've got Beverly Hills Ninja as my number 1.
That's fine.
Doesn't he climb a palm tree and it slowly bends over in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, I think, his last movie before he passed away.
Oh, that's sad.
No. So I'm going to go next.
So,
yeah, I'm going to go next because, like I said, because Andrew's the best. So my number 3 is Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie.
Oh, holy crap! You're right.
Yeah. Number 2 is I'm going to say Street Fighter, but I'm actually going to say The Legend of Chun Li because that movie is way worse than the original.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that one.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh, Sean, you paid money for that.
I was one of those things where back when we were living, when Corny and we lived near each other, my wife's best friend, Catherine, and they would go watch a chick flick, and then her husband, Catherine's husband, Billy, who's a friend of the show, he and I would go see something. Billy. And so basically it was, there wasn't always be, usually if the chick flicks are in set season, that means that action movies were not. And so that's how we got to see some of the bad movies that we saw, and including this one. And yes, it's terrible. And my number 1 is Dragon Ball Evolution, which I also, again, saw in the theater, and it made me, it and The Last Airbender are the 2 movies that have genuinely made me want to cry at how bad they are.
I pushed that movie out of my brain, and you put it
I was
back.
gonna-
So
That's crazy to me that you would spend money on it.
I might not
or
I'm trying to think. I might not have watched Dragon Ball Evolution in the theater, but I know I saw Airbender in the theater. Didn't I see it with you or something?
did we see it in High Point? I think we might have saw it in High
I think
Point.
we did. We saw it in High
Yeah.
Point, and I remember you were like, "Hey, that wasn't bad." And I'm like, "Shut the f up! That was horrific." And you're like, Shyamalan, he did a pretty good job, I think. And I'm like, "Go watch the cartoon. They changed the names of the people." It's so weird.
Instead of Aang.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, imagine if they decided to make a Game of Thrones movie for some reason, right? Because that's basically what they did. And so, who was Sean Bean's character? I forgot his name. Ned Stark.
Edward Stark.
Instead of calling him Ned, they called him Edward. Like, it's just different.
I mean, it could be called Edward Stark.
But it doesn't make sense. I guess if the spelling is the same, then it would be, instead of being Ned, it'd be like Need. They called him Need Stierk.
Need Stierk.
Need Stierk.
All right, Andrew, what you got? Blow us away with your list.
Okay. Sorry, I was still muted. All right. So at number 3, I also had Beverly Hills Ninja because it is a terrible movie and terrible kung fu movie. Number 2, I also had Three Ninjas, but more specifically, Three Ninjas Kick Back. Is even worse.
Yeah.
And then my number 1 is a movie that I actually loved as a kid, but it is terrible, and that is called Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas, yeah, I was ready to say.
No, I don't know that one.
Surf Ninjas.
The whole thing's on YouTube. Go watch it.
Yeah, Surf Ninjas. I've actually toyed with the idea of putting that on doing it for the podcast. It has one of my favorite dumb lines. Rob Schneider is in that movie, and he's pretending to be a dude in a wheelchair. And he picks up his leg and says, "Don't make me beat you with the leg that no longer works." That's just one of those quotes that lives rent free in my head. So nice. I don't know. I might honestly add it to the list for that. That sounds like a summer movie kind of a thing to do. That sounds great. But Three Ninjas, you're not wrong. I watched the heck out of Three Ninjas. With our good friend Steven Everett. I watched that with him. It feels like weekly.
Nice.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
Out of 10, we give a score for this movie, and I put it in a spreadsheet, and we're actually going to start tweeting these out, or I'm going to start tweeting these out so people can actually see what our scores are. Because if we're going to keep them, if we're going to record them, I might as well share them. Andrew, you go first.
Okay, IMDb puts this at a 6.8, I think is what I saw. I'm not looking at it right now, but it's somewhere around there. I do not like it that much. And I don't think it holds up, but would I watch it again? Maybe, if it's on. I'm not going to actively search it out, so I'm going to give this a 5.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think the only way I would watch this is, Corny, if you came over and said, all of the TV in the world has gone off air. This is the only thing left to watch.
This is it, yeah.
Then I'll say, okay, let's watch it. What you got? Corny.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to get a little mix of nostalgia and actual movie grading.
Sure.
I'm going to give it a flat 7.
All right.
Because every time I watch this, it makes me happy.
Is that a minor?
The 6.9 of that is because of feelings and not actual work.
Yeah. That's okay. Again, it's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that at all.
That keeps it from being harmonic if it's flat 7. Just so you know.
Yeah. And music majors everywhere groaned. Sam.
I can't get this above a 5. I'm sorry. Even though I laughed at it, it's still really bad. So, 4.15 out of 10. Sorry, Corey.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between Andrew and Sam. I think this is a genuinely bad movie, but I also had a good time with it. I laughed, and this is also definitely one case where I had way more fun talking with it with you guys than actually watching the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we watched it, just certainly so now that I have some quotes that I can kind of throw back at Corny every now and then. So if he sends me a text, I can just respond with "show enough," and then now we're on the same page. Because I'm pretty sure you've probably sent that back to me, and I just thought, okay, it's just a funny thing to say. Now I get it. So
I've definitely seen you show up before several times.
I'm sure you have. So I'm just going to give it a straight 5. 5 nunchucks bitten in half out of 10. Or 5 white Colonel Sanders with a mohawk. I don't know why he'd be white. Of course, he's Colonel Sanders, but 5 Colonel Sanders with a mohawk out of 10. Seriously, go back and watch. He's laughing. The dude's genuinely laughing. It's great. So, all right. That's our show. That's it.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So you making a chicken reference? You mother.
Yeah, nice. Sorry. So now time to play this scene.
And I'm going to punch that Bleecker kid in the wiener next time I see him.
Mac.
Just what happens when I click random things. We're doing the movie quote. Last week, Andrew didn't know what the movie was. That was cool. This one, I don't know this one. This is a little game, Corny, that we've added. I have a giant movie poster of movies, movie quotes, I should say, 101. We've got this for 2 years. This quote, I appreciate the whole seduction game you've got going on here, but let me give you a tip. I'm a sure thing. I actually have no idea what that's from. So if you are listening and know what that is, feel free to tweet or Facebook or whatever at me to let me know this is what that is. And I would appreciate it. So also, Corny, I have this. We did Con Air recently, and I don't know why. It's looking at me right here, so I'm just going to play this. There you go. That was for you, pal. That's when Nick Cage slaps the dude that's dressed like a woman. So,
And I also want to mention, Corny, one of the students I have in my class, his name is actually Malachi, and it takes everything in my soul not to
do this.
Malachi.
Yeah, that I have handy.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
I still haven't found my not a great plan bit. I still
not a great plan.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Not a great plan.
There we go.
There you go.
Anyway, that's the show. Gosh, guys, this was so much fun. Thank you, Corny, for coming back on and doing this one with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Show enough. Next week, which is in reality 3 Earth days from tonight, we are doing Push, which is the Chris Evans thing with the special powers. And
are you going to push it really good?
Push it really good. I think there's going to be a lot of times we hear that joke. I think we're going to hear that joke a lot, which is great.
Well, if push comes to shove.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's good too. Save all these for the movie. Save these for the movie. Here's something that's blowing my mind. The Last Dragon, 6.9 on IMDb. Push, 6.1. So maybe I'm misremembering this movie as being better than it is. I haven't seen it in a handful of years. But we will also have another special guest on. She will be new to the podcast, to our show. She has a podcast of her own, which I have mentioned before. But I'm looking forward to doing that. We're doing Chris Evans and yeah. We've had several on actually recently.
Yeah, it still surprises me that they say yes.
Yeah, and one has come on. We've had her on twice.
She's a regular,
and she's great. And so anyway, next week Push. Go to our website cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. That's where you can find all of our old episodes because iTunes only backtracks, like the last 100 or so. Facebook.com/Cheapseat Reviews is where you can connect to us there. Twitter is @CheapseatCast. And on Instagram, we're on Instagram. I'm actually putting things on there, probably not as much as I should, but a couple times a week I'll
You
post
on the
some
gram?
I'm on the gram.
We're on the gram.
In fact, I've been tagging you, Corny. I was tagging you a couple times this week to say, hey, we got guests coming up.
Yep.
So there. Also, please leave us a review on iTunes. That's the best way that we can raise our profile so other people can listen and share in the warmth of our voices. And emails can go to cheapseatreviews@gmail.com. And that's it, guys. So again, next week we're doing Push, and I'm really excited for that. So on behalf of Corny, thanks again, pal. Andrew and Sam, this is Sean saying thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.